Bull sad guy. All right, you guys want to talk about Guilty Gear now? I will warn you, I probably will not spend too much time about the UI or the netcode or UX or the lobby because all those things are bad. I did the survey. If any of you played in the demo, you should have filled out the survey. From my understanding, the survey is a big deal when it comes to trying to determine whether consumers actually like stuff or not for them. They all told me like, hey, the surveys are a big deal. Make sure people fill them out honestly and they tell them what they want to see and everything. Let's start with the obvious with Guilty Gear, right? Game visually is incredibly beautiful when it comes to the characters. I have issues with how they blend into the background, but visually, when I'm just looking at the characters doing their fighting, I really like it. As far as the other visuals of the game go, this lobby has got to go. It's clearly not good. I think this entire news thing that's under my head, this needs to be collapsible. The other thing is like, it's not even intuitive to try to find a match against someone else because you have to try to like walk up to them and then it initializes it. You don't know who you're matching with and then it just pops up later. The whole thing is bad. There's a couple of things about the lobby that I like the ideas of. Customizing your character is kind of cool. I like the idea of having tiered lobbies that are based on skill. Because if you think about the other Arxis games, most people are not playing ranked in them. They all go into the lobby, they just get on machines and they play people, right? That's kind of how they work currently for the most part, which I think is fine. The problem is in that when you're not playing ranked, there's no skill-based matchmaking. And so your experience when you're in the lobby is you don't know exactly what the connection is going to be like. You don't know the skill level of the opponent you're going to play against. You don't know where they're from or you don't know even what's going on. So you just kind of sit down in a cab and play someone. And I think maybe their idea with the tiered lobbies based on skill, they're supposed to correlate with the level you're at. And as you win or as you lose, you go down in lobby. The problem is the game forces you to go up and down every time you win or lose, and having to reload in and get back in and then try to find someone after is bad, especially if you play someone and it's a really good match and then you get moved up or they get moved down and suddenly you can't play them. It's like, no, we just had this super close match. Who cares who won or lost? You know, it's like we just had a dope match and you want to play. So that feels bad. The problem with the current lobbies though is this. Eventually, everybody will probably win their way to the top no matter what. And even if you don't win your way to the top, when the game's been out for a month or two, there's not going to be very many people in lobbies 1 through 9. Everybody's just going to be in the hardest lobby no matter what, and the same issue that they had before exists, right? It's not like it goes away because of that. If you want to make it so that the lobbies have some skill-based system to it, right? They have some ranking to it, have some other kind of ranked algorithm that exists that you can score points or earn points. And so in the lobby, you can see other people's points and kind of match up based on, you know, where you're supposed to fight or something like that. And then even with the lobby, it's just like, I don't know. It's so bad. As far as the UI goes, the UI is bad, as you guys all know. This is a screenshot from Guilty Gear Strive. This is bad. This UI is just awful. It looks really, really, really bad. This is real. I don't know what to tell you. Bro, actually trying to check my health bar in this game and figure out if I had burst or not, it was quite a predicament. I'll tell you what, I can't remember the last time in a game. Dude, the moving gauges are not good. Even if we don't get into like the stylization of it not feeling or looking like a Guilty Gear feel, just like visually alone, it's got issues. Look at the screen. Do you know if either player has burst or any risk gauge at all? The combo counter is hype. You can't convince me otherwise. Bro, when I was in 7th grade, I had a computer science class. In that class, they taught us how to use, you know, basic computer stuff. In that class, they taught us the basics of editing on MS Paint. And in that class, I had to make a business card for McDonald's. I don't know how, but it seems like somebody from Arc System Works hacked into my 7th grade computer science class and took my McDonald's business card and put it in their fighting game. Now, I don't know how they did that. I have to give them some credit. Those are the real super software engineers that you got to have to really get stuff done, because this shit is it's unbelievable. How many fonts are on the screen here? It's absurd. Another thing that I wanted to chat about was the camera situation. I don't think this is on purpose, but I did want to touch on this in case it is. Notice the angle this combo starts to like careen into as it goes on. You sort of can't tell exactly what's even happening here. This is something that I think is an accident. I don't think this is supposed to happen, but this is rough. This is a confusing hit to me. I didn't know where I was on the screen or what combo I could even do because of it. Somebody's gonna say something like, you know, eventually you'll get used to it, and I think it looks cool and cinematic. That opinion can exist. I think that's fine if that's the way you think. But why would I even want to get used to it? It's such a bad feeling. Obama says people get used to prison life. That doesn't mean it's good. I mean, it's true. I hope it's not intentional because I think it's bad. So let's get into the actual gameplay now. I'll tell you guys right now, I had lots of fun playing the game, actually. Playing the game, I thought it was fun. I thought it was cool. My concern is this. I don't know if this game was the kind of fun that is long-term fun. Already in this beta, there was things I was running into where I was hitting a wall. Unlike most of the time when I play Guilty Gear, it felt like the game had tried to decide what I could do instead of just giving me tools and saying, see what you can find. I ran into the constraints of the game more than I think I wanted to, especially for Guilty Gear. I already felt kind of hitting and grinding against the point of the game where there was stuff that I wanted to try and stuff that I wanted to do that didn't work. There's a lot of reasons that I felt that way. One of them was the Gatlings. I think a lot of people felt this way. The Gatlings being more constrained and adding in links. Gatlings already are something that feel very fluid. It gives you a natural kind of way to be unique in the way that you press and the way that the kinds of Gatlings that you do and what you're looking for when you're pressuring with Gatlings. In this, the Gatlings felt so bad. And in particular, the grounded Gatlings, the grounded chains, felt very linear, but the air Gatlings is definitely something that hurt me the most. When I play Guilty Gear, the feeling of being able to pick up or convert weird hits, jump cancel, or already be in the air feels great. That is something that is definitely missing in this. Having no air Gatlings, really, like Soul has jump, kick, jump, does. My other options were like jump, P, uppercut. And I was like, it didn't feel the same as generally what I'm looking for in Guilty Gear, which is I was trying to find cool and interesting options that made me feel satisfied, and long-term, I was looking for the kind of growth you can do as a player, and I kind of already felt the rub. And I don't know if that's permanent or not, it's just my first impression. Air and ground Gatlings just feeling so restrictive and like my kind of options already being planned out. The other one I will say is like the wall break situation. The problem that I have with the wall is this. When you hit the corner and you hit the wall, the kinds of routes and things that are available to you are much more restricted because you only have a certain amount of wall hits before it breaks. The reason that's frustrating, I think, is because you're trying not to interact with this mechanic. Right? You're trying to do short combos or end combos or find specific things to not break the wall because you don't want to interact with this mechanic. That already feels bad because there's something in the game that you just don't want to play around or deal with because you don't like it. And what you want is to have Oki there. The reward for hitting the wall and the reward for breaking the wall generally is you get big combos when you hit the corner, right? And you get this 60, 70% damage. I just did 80% damage. My reward for this is increased meter gain, right? If I did this much damage already, this 80%, if I hit them again, it's over, and the meter build won't matter that much. If my reward is instead a knockdown into something else, then maybe like the damage needs to be lowered or whatever, but like it feels like I have to interact with the wall and do exactly what I'm supposed to do, and then once I break this thing, I don't really get to choose what's going to happen after. I'm just reset back to neutral and my meter starts to go up. The other thing is meter doesn't carry over in this game. So meter being a reward is extremely temporary, right? Like you don't carry tension over in between rounds in Guilty Gear. That's not something that ever happens. I wish there was more options against the wall, like certain moves interacted with the wall in different ways. If they wall splat, they'll take off the wall back to mid-screen if you don't do anything. So you can't just let them slide off the wall. I don't know. It's just long-term, I think a lot of people, will try to find ways to not deal with this wall or break it, and like it doesn't feel super satisfying to me. So the other thing is like they've said that a lot of their changes in this game are designed to help new players. I don't necessarily know that I think that's true. A lot of the changes to like having links and weaker Gatlings so that you can't just string stuff together and feel like you're doing stuff. And not only that, new players are just going to explode. Like, they're not going to even know what these combos do or anything, and they're just going to die. A new fighting game player, it doesn't matter if they're playing Guilty Gear, it doesn't matter if they're playing Street Fighter, it doesn't matter if they're playing Granblue, they're not going to know what's happening. Regardless of the difficulty of the game, if you're new, the game is going to seem difficult, and there's going to be so much that you don't know. So I think if you try to simplify the game for them in these ways, I can't imagine that it's going to help, having like weird links and stuff and not having Gatlings that feel intuitive and having huge damage where new players are just, intermediate players are going to destroy new players with just huge damage, and they're just going to get dunked super bad. Before Guilty Gear came out, they announced that they were going to simplify the game a bit. And, we talked about some simplifications that could be done that I think would not damage the game so much. I feel like they've done some of those, but I also think that because of how limited a lot of the things are, that they've probably maybe lowered the amount of interesting or creative ways you can play around the system. And I think that will probably lower the skill ceiling. I don't imagine this game will feel good to new players or like easy to new players. And I don't imagine this game will feel great to experienced players. So I guess the kind of player that really feels fun and they're having a great time in this game would be people in the middle, which if your goal is to attract new players or veteran players, both of them feel like, what is your target audience at that point? I'm not sure. Yeah, the kind of player that this game will attract is probably a lot of you watching now. You roasting us? No. How many of you are top 8 at Evo Guilty Gear players? Not me, not any of you guys, right? Like, that's none of us. Also, none of you guys even play Guilty Gear, all right? Keep it down over there. That's maybe the most true thing Obama has ever said, by the way. You know, with everything that I've said about this, I feel probably way less negative about this game than most people do. Like I said, I thought it was fun when I played it, and I enjoyed my time with it from when I played it. If it doesn't change a lot from where it is here, I think this game will probably struggle a bit, but it needs a little bit of love, and I think it should get to where it needs to be. It's kind of the way I think about it. It needs to make changes. If it doesn't make changes, it's going to suffer for sure. What characters did I ask for in the survey? I'll tell you what, I didn't vote for fucking Elfelt, that's for sure. I did put Johnny down, actually. Despite him being a bag of dicks, like, I think Johnny's a cool character. Yeah, I don't know. I think the new RC system seems cool. I think the wall could have a very interesting mechanic built around it. More universal character hurt boxes for combos, and I think more universal weights and also knockdown time those are changes that I like. But a lot of the other things about it is what I'm worried about for sure. The air movement, my issue with the air movement is this. I don't like the new air dash, although I think it has interesting stuff with FD maybe. Mostly the interactions in the air feel much worse. With throw whiffs happening in the air, as well as having weaker gatlings, my ability to control the air space felt much worse than in other games. People they just jump at you in this game, right? Like, I felt like anti-airs were they didn't feel fantastic. It's mostly 6p. If you don't have a good answer off of your 6p, it didn't feel very satisfying. Most anti-airs in the game didn't feel super great. Jumping is very strong, I think, because everything's air blockable, right? So even if you DP them out of the air to build their wrist, they still just fly to the end of the screen, and then they build risk, and then they just jump at you again or whatever. It's like, okay, well. Can rollback alone save this game? I'm sure that there will be lots of changes before the finished product. I will say, I had a lot of fun playing the game. Is that fun long term? And is that fun going to be fun that persists for a high level for a long time? And is there going to be enough fun that you continue to pursue playing the game and experimenting and finding new stuff and your interest level stays high? I'm not sure. But yeah, good netcode certainly helps. Regardless of the game, if the game is good or bad, if the game has good netcode, it certainly helps. I am hoping as well for a beta test with new netcode later on. That would be great. I would really like to try the game again closer to its release with new netcode. I can't believe the amount of people, though, of all the things to defend for Guilty Gear, the amount of people who defend the UI is absurd. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine looking at this image and thinking like, yeah, the UI is satisfactory. The problem is, why do you have to fill out a survey to tell them that? I don't know. It's concerning, isn't it? I don't understand why that it's not obvious that there is a lot of clutter on the screen. Imagine thinking like, all right, this is like up for debate, right? Like the internally Arcs is like, I don't know. I think it's hidden. It is worrisome. Yeah, asking about guest characters is weird. There's a lot of weird things on that survey that I was very surprised about. You look at the game and there's so many things about it that you're like, wow, this is really cool. This looks great and stuff, right? And then there's some things where you're like, how is this existing in the same game? Can we all agree that the timer looks good? It looks okay. I don't think it looks good. It's probably better than other elements of the UI, but I don't think it looks great. I don't know what the goal is. It's so hard to even tell, you know what I mean? Are they making decisions for spectators in the game? Like, if you're trying to build a game that is fun to spectate, it's got to be fun to play, man. And what makes games long-term enjoyable and entertaining and interesting for people is the feeling of watching or playing the game and people are doing things or things are happening and you're thinking like, oh my God, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I want to do that, or I want to try that, or man, I did this sick confirm. I didn't even know you could confirm that. That was something I've never seen before. I tried something and it worked. This game is tight. And if you constantly run into walls where you're not doing stuff like that, or you're not seeing things that are pushing the boundaries of like what people can do, you start to just be like, well, the game is fun, I guess. Listen. There's only one N-word I say on this stream, and it's netcode. Anything else, you can go to another stream to try to find that. That's the only thing I have to say, and that's all I have to say about that.